What's going on, everybody? Once again, back, it's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game podcast. And I am so excited to be doing this today because I looked out my window this morning, saw 5 inches of snow because we got a snowstorm overnight, and I could stay in the comfy confines of my house. I was thinking about going to the gym later, but I don't think that's going to happen. Not with that amount of snow, and roads all suck and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, is what it is. But still, nonetheless, I like the fact that, I can do a lot of this stuff from home. You know what I mean? Like it's a blessing, and it can be a curse too at times when, the internet goes out, which I know that you're accustomed to, Shabam,
Yep.
So
that's kind of my thing. There's like a fiber provider, a new one who's really good, but he's not available in my region. So like every other day, I'm literally, apply now, not available because it notices there's like a huge demand in this region, and that's how they expand, right? So I'm like every time either use a different mail or a different mobile number, and I'm trying to apply and make him come to me just so that
is it's like the internet and stuff like that there, like your Wi-Fi, does that get affected by, because I know you guys get monsoons and storms like that, does that affect your
yes
I get you.
It depends. Like sometimes what happens is there's like a big storm type situation, and like a big tree falls on some wires, then that makes sense. That makes sense. And because it's the town, and it's a town, okay, and compared to other countries, India has a lot of trees and all overall. So that happens way too much. You can expect that to happen once a week or so. So it's that common.
Oh, yeah. All right. Mine went out yesterday for a little bit, but wasn't that big. But anywho, if for those of you who have came back to the podcast, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. Listen, I think this podcast varies a little bit from some of the other podcasts that you might see in this space, basically because what we're talking about is, in large part, inner game. An inner game, for those of you that don't know, the way that I define it is the relationship that you have with yourself. If you have a bad relationship with you hear about toxic relationships and things like that, and abusive relationships, and all those negative types of relationships. And obviously those things are bad, and it's not something that you want in your life. However, most people are totally okay with having a toxic relationship with themselves, an abusive relationship with themselves. You might talk shit about yourself nonstop. And if somebody was to walk up and say those things to you, you might have a fight on your hands, you'd be like, what? How dare you come up and talk to me like that,
Yeah.
But we accept it from ourselves so often. And so that's what this podcast really is trying to really hone in on, is keeping you from self-sabotaging yourself, keeping you from having a lot of negative self-talk, keeping you out of your own head too much, being more present in the moment, keeping you from not having the type of confidence you want, self-esteem, the way that you feel about yourself. We want to work on all those things, and that's what we do, right? But that is only going to get you so far. All right. Make no mistake. Everything starts with the mindset. Okay. Anything that you do in life, there's a mindset that is going to be attached to it. And if that mindset is not calibrated correctly, you are going to likely run into a lot of problems and probably quit, to be frank. If you, I want to get better with talking to women, right? And you go out, you try a few times, and nothing seems to be working. Most people, what they're going to do is oh, well, I'm
it's not fun
doing
that
this.
Sort of, yeah.
So that's what I want. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to feel frustration and quit. All right. So the mindset initially, might be okay. But once that mindset is tested, if it's not, if you don't have a resilient mindset, if you don't have one that is willing to go through the fire, so to speak, right? As soon as that friction or that confrontation hits, it's easy to turtle up and just, well, that wasn't for me. Well, it's not that it wasn't for you. It's just you weren't ready for it, essentially. So one of the things that, as an extension of that I see affect people's mindsets so often, it's something that's very predominant in my Facebook group, and we'll link that up. It's super dope group. Thousands of guys in there, all trying to help each other, man, level up, So if you want to become a member of that group, the link will be in the,
that's what about that.
Captain Popular.
I didn't hear. My bad.
So
I didn't realize it was on.
So, but here's the thing, man. If, you start hitting a little bit of that resistance, if that is going to influence you to stop progressing, stop moving forward, and that kind of thing, I want to give you some practical steps to not let it affect you that way. And one of the things that I see inside of my Facebook group, and I just see it a lot, man. I get these questions a lot. And even inside of the Modern Flirting VIP program, there's guys that are newer to the program that struggle with this to a very large degree. And what I'm talking about is running out of things to say. It's so funny that, we're talking about this because I was just talking to a guy this morning who, this exactly, you know what I mean? Like he was saying that, he gets intimidated, he gets in his head too much, and his mind goes blank whenever he's, confronted with a high value, attractive woman. It's just like, he's just completely intimidated, mind goes blank, doesn't know what to do or say. And as an extension of that, that's going to affect his mindset. That's going to affect his confidence, right? So how do we take this on? How do we get our arms around that? Because that is a very common thing for your mind to go blank and all that. Well, let's look at it like this. Firstly, it's not that your mind goes blank. And I forget the exact psychology term for this. I can't remember what it is, but basically think of it like this. When you're confronted with too many options, all right, it's hard to hone in and choose one, right? And so, I mean, logically speaking, you should never run out of things to say. Why? Because there's a million things going on around you, if nothing else. Right? There's a million experiences that you've had. There's a million things that you know about that you could at least talk about, right? So just in those three things, that's a ton of things to talk about.
Right.
So the problem is, it's not that there's nothing to talk about or you can't think of anything to talk about. The problem is there's an overabundance of things to talk about, and it's hard to choose which one you think is the correct one to talk about. Think of it like this. If I was like, hey man, I'm throwing a barbecue. Can you stop at the grocery store and pick up some mustard? We're gonna cook up some dogs, man, some hamburgers and stuff. Why don't you come through and, but I if you could do me the favor and stop and grab some mustard, that would be dope. All right. And you're like, yeah, man, I got you. So you stop at the grocery store. You go into the condiment aisle. All right. Now you are confronted with 100 different types of mustards. Okay. There's low sodium mustard. There's spicy mustard. There's like all these different kinds of mustards and variations of those kinds, right? You will likely be like, man, I don't know which one to get. And you probably hit me up and be like, I don't know which one to get. Like what kind of mustard should I get? Excuse me. Um, so having all those options is really debilitating. Now, if there's only 2 mustards on the shelf, you'll probably just be like, oh, that one works. You know what I mean? Well, which one's more expensive? All right, this one's cheaper. We'll go with this, So easy, right? Easy because it's just, there's 2.
Yeah. Yes.
You
No.
don't have to think about it. So that's really what the problem is. It's not that your mind goes blank. It's that you're confronted with a lot of information and processing that information and selecting which piece of information to start talking about. That's where the real issue is. Okay. So, now that we understand that a little bit, how do we battle that? How do we keep that from happening? One of the things that really affects when a guy is confronted with this particular problem is it affects their confidence, because it's like, I don't feel confident that I can walk up and start talking to this person, to this very attractive woman, because I always run out of things to say. This has been a habit for me forever. And so why even bother? I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to look stupid, and I don't want to feel bad about it. So fuck it. I'm not doing it, and that speaks to confidence. Well, if you can't have confidence, what you should be aiming for is competence. See, you can have faith in the competency. All right. Even if you don't have faith in your own confidence, if you know something, if you know what to do, even if you don't feel confident doing it, at least you can put your faith in a system or a process, because that system and process has worked effectively for many people everywhere. Right. Yep. So the way I look at it is like this. Say, Shabam, since you have to, come here from India to go to my barbecue, you're you're on an airplane. All right. And you're on the plane, got my mustard. and you're sitting in your seat, right? Well, we'll say that on this plane, you got the pilot. Well, you also have a co-pilot, right? We'll say that this co-pilot, it is his first day being a co-pilot. All right. Now, this guy, he's went through extensive training. All right. He's had many flight hours, just not, with people on a plane.
Commercial.
Things like that, tons of instruction, flight simulation, book learning, all kinds of training, right?
Yeah.
And so here's the deal. He's ready. Here you go. You're now a co-pilot. First day. Everybody has to have their first day, and this just happens to be his. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we'll say that the pilot of the plane, he has a heart attack mid-flight, dies. All right. So it's up for the co-pilot to take over. All right. Now, word gets out, right? People are like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You're 30,000 feet in the air. There's very little room for, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like it gets people nervous when they find out the pilot died, So, now we'll say that, the guy sitting next to you on the plane, he jumps up and he's like, hey, everybody, I got this. Do not worry. Do not fret. I am going to get us to where we need to go. I'm going to land this plane. And how do I know this? I have seen Top Gun 25 times. And I just got done watching the new one. So we're good. And he runs up to the front of the plane. He gets behind the instrument panel. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, a nice crash, I suppose.
everybody's dead. That's what's going to happen. All right. So now that guy who jumped up, I got this. All the confidence in the world. He put everybody's life in his hand, including his own.
Right.
That's how confident he was. All right. Now, same situation. Pilot dies. Co-pilot's sitting there. Now he's nervous. He's anxious. This is an extreme situation. And it's day one for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He gets behind the instrument panel. In all likelihood, 99.99% of the time, be just fine. Land the plane, everybody's good. Right? Now, he didn't really necessarily have confidence, right, in himself.
No.
He's anxious. He's nervous. High pressure situation, very stressful. But he had competence, right? His confidence went into his training that he had, not necessarily into him. Okay. So leading back to what we're talking about with, running out of things to say and stuff like that. If you have a few things up your sleeve to talk about already, you know what you're going to talk about. You know what you're going to start a conversation with and things like that. Right. Well, now that you have confidence in that. But what's going to happen is, much like with this co-pilot, the co-pilot's going to land the plane. Everybody's fine. Right. Now, not only does he have competence, but he has confidence in himself too.
Yep.
And the same would apply here. If you have a few things to say already, things to talk about, just general topics, stuff like that. When you go up and you start talking, you might feel nervous and all that kind of thing, but that what what you're going to be talking about will land because it's landed for others. And once you start seeing it landing for you, it's like, okay. And plus, I did this. I did it. Now, the problem that a lot of, sometimes guys run into from a mindset perspective is they're like, well, isn't that inauthentic? If I'm walking up to somebody already knowing what I'm going to talk about, that's not organic. It's a script that I'm kind of operating off of at that point.
Yeah.
That's not really me. Well, firstly, to take the other side of that argument, how many times have you been asked or asked somebody, hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Yeah, that's literally a script.
That's a script. And the response being like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, that's also a script.
That's a social script. Because even if that person was having the worst day ever, they're likely
He's
to
not going to say that.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah. It's like the reflex.
Right. Exactly. So, we all operate off of social scripts all the time. This is no different than that. If say I sell solar panels, okay, and I'm going door to door selling solar panels, wouldn't it make sense for me to kind of do a pitch that's the most effective that other people have been using, as opposed to me just being like, oh, hey, how are you? My name is Dale. I'm selling solar panels. How many would you like?
Yeah.
That'd be authentic, right?
Yeah, but not impactful.
Yeah, but it's authentic, but it's not, not only not impactful, it's just not smart. So having something already in the holster, ready to go to talk about is totally fine. Here's the problem though, that a lot of guys run into with that and not feeling authentic about it. Yes, right. If you take what somebody says word for word, the way they say it, the cadence in which they say it in, their tonality, their body language, basically you're just an actor playing a part, of somebody else, I'm with you. I get it. When when I was doing real estate actively,
Mm.
one of the things that I would do often is cold calling. So here
Right.
I am on my phone, right, doing 100 dials a day. Okay.
Mhm.
And inside of that 100 dials, I might talk to 30 people. All right.
Right.
So I have to have the same conversation over and over and over and over and over again. All right.
Yep.
But when you first start doing it, it's highly advisable to have a script,
Right.
like to work off of. And inside of real estate, what you will see is like, this is the hot new script, like, oh, this guy's killing it with this script,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to download his script, use that script. All right. Well, anytime that I would do that, results would vary, you know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
never like took off, and
Yeah.
with that. What I had to realize was it's not what is actually being said in the script itself. It's the context behind why what is being said is being said. Once I understood the context of it, then I could word it the way that I would say it. I would look at the script and I'd be like, man, I would never talk like this. Like it's just not how I talk,
Yeah.
And so it always felt weird to me, like it just doesn't feel like me,
Yeah.
But once I understood the context, I could generate my own scripts for days and they would be highly effective because it was the context. It wasn't, it's like, it's one of those things of, it's, it's not what you say, it's how you say it type of thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have something to start a conversation with, even if you use it all the time, as long as it's the way that you would do it, the way that you would say it, the way that you would deliver it, because make no mistake, when you are talking to somebody and, you're trying to, build a little bit of rapport with this individual, whether it's a highly attractive woman or sales or, anything else, when you're trying to build rapport with people and build a connection there, right? When you do that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having the same, talking about the same thing, as long as the context is the same, right? So another issue that people tend to have with this mindset about running out of things to say and like being intimidated and stuff like that. Another thing too is guys having a tendency to put women on pedestals, right? We see that a lot. Don't simp and all, you know what I mean? Like that, like here's this attractive girl and the mindset is initially she has a lot of value because she's super hot.
Yeah.
So it's like, go on up, girl. Hop up on that pedestal. I'll be down here looking at you, So, and that's not a frame that you want to come from. All right.
Yep.
So essentially what you are doing is dehumanizing her. And that's not fair to her. It's not fair to yourself and it's not fair to her either, because when you dehumanize somebody, essentially what you're doing is you are acting as if this person is, just greater than not only you, but society in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not doing her any favors. Most women do not want that, regardless of what you see, like, oh, treat me like a princess and all that kind of stuff. Regardless of what you may see, 95% of women do not want to be treated like that. Now, you get your outliers of women who have some type of, princess.
Let's call it issues. Yeah. I was going to say, let's just call it issues.
Yeah, So you're going to run into some women who do have do want that, but that's not going to be the norm, And by the way, the more attractive she is, the less that she probably wants it. because
Yep.
she has been treated like that her entire life.
Entire life. Yep.
Yep. Since the time that she was 16 years old, you know what I mean? People have been putting her on a pedestal. She's that attractive, you know. Think your Instagram models and actresses, and you know,
Yeah.
that type of thing. You know, like they have been treated like that forever, and it's a breath of fresh air. It's refreshing to them when somebody treats them like a person. Because make no mistake, they know that their value to other people in large part is their looks.
Yeah.
So they want to be recognized for something else.
Yep.
You know, outside of that. And if you can provide that and give that value by treating them like a human being that they are, you know, she's not an angel, man. Guess what? I got news for you. That super attractive girl has shit her pants. That super attractive girl has bled through her tampon.
Yep.
You know, so pretty gross, you know, but she's a person with foibles.
Yeah, she's just a normal human. Like, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a person with foibles, with you know, insecurities, with you know, emotional scars, with, you know what I mean? Like, she's a human being the same as you're a human being, okay? And to treat her otherwise is a disservice. It's, you know, there's the age-old adage, you know, if you treat her like a queen, she's going to treat you like a servant, you know, or you treat her like a celebrity, she's going to treat you like a fan.
Like a fan. Yep. It's actually true.
So if you are treating her like a celebrity, oh my God, you're so awesome. Oh, you're so attractive. You're so beautiful. And I'm not saying don't compliment, you know what I mean? That's not where I'm going with this. But what I am saying is when it's over the top and where it's a thing of like, you're just doling out these compliments in hopes for some type of reciprocity, that she's going to be like, oh, are you attractive too? You know, like, don't count on it.
Yeah. That never works. Like, actually, as far as I know, the more beautiful the girl is, that's the more reason you never compliment her on her looks. You know, like that's the last thing you should talk about.
Yep.
Like, if you want to talk, like, talk about her, maybe like, you know, intellect or something different, like whatever.
Yeah.
But
you know,
the last thing you should be talking about how pretty she is, because she knows. Like, let's be honest, she knows. Yeah, exactly.
She has to know. You know, I mean, think about it. Like, if from the time that we'll say she's 26, you know, from the time that she's 16, that's 10 years.
Yeah.
She has probably been told that she's pretty twice a day. You know,
more possibly. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let's think about this. Even if it's only twice a day, right? In a year's time, we'll just say that's we'll say 750 times a year. Okay. So 750 times a year times 10, 7,500 times. And I'm not even counting social media.
Yeah.
You know, so
like, it's like, it's already way too much.
Yeah. You know, like, so, okay. So you're going to tell her that she's pretty. All right. Well, I guess you're 7,501. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that she remembers number 3,842? Like what guy that was? That's, you know what I mean? Like, no.
Yeah.
You know, she don't remember that. She ain't gonna remember you either. You know what I mean? So, if you're going to compliment, you want to compliment on something that's outside of the box, something that she does not get compliments for. You know, and now you don't want to be disingenuous. If the girl's a fucking idiot, you know what I mean? You're like, wow, you are so smart. My God, you are intelligent. I've never, what are you, some kind of like female Einstein? Like, wow, you know, like that.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly.
Right. Because she likely knows that she's, you know, not that smart. So she's gonna be like, all right, this guy just feed me a line of bullshit to get in good, you know? Yeah. But like one of my favorite compliments that I give out
Hmm.
is on eye contact.
Hmm.
Now look, if the girl has pretty eyes, again, she's been told she has pretty eyes a million times.
Yeah.
You know, but I guarantee you this: she's never been complimented on her eye contact.
Yeah.
Like if she's talking, I'll be like, hey, real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just got to tell you, you know, you make really good eye contact, and I find that so rare. That's really cool. But anyway, continue.
Yep.
Boom. She's never heard that before in her life.
Yep. Exactly. Like that's the compliment that sticks. It's like completely unique.
Yeah.
And like, she'll remember because, okay, that's a first, sort of thing.
And on top of that, just as a psychological side note, even if she doesn't make good eye contact, I will tell her that she does. Now, I can already hear
now she will.
I can already hear people saying, well, you were just saying don't be disingenuous. Okay, that's a little bit different. Okay, the reason I'm saying that, even if she doesn't have good eye contact, is now she wants to live up to that compliment. Then she'll start making good eye contact.
Yeah.
So it's more like a prediction than a.
You can use it. You can use it like that.
What's that?
Like I would still say, like, do make sure she's interested enough, because otherwise that might be like, that might actually be noticed. Like, say for example, if she's not into it, like she's literally, like say.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Read the room. Yeah.
Like if I'm a girl and you're talking to me and I'm just kind of like this, I'm like, and I like maybe look over every once in a while, but I'm not even really paying attention to you. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, because people take it out of context, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, like, oh, you make really good eye contact with that person over there.
So true.
But yeah, so and if she does make good eye contact, it's empowering her to maintain that eye contact, because there's, it's attractive when people make strong eye contact, so, but anyhow, that aside, if you're not humanizing her, you're idolizing her, so and again, you're not doing yourself any favors, you're not doing her any favors. It's not going to win her over, so there's no point in doing it, but let's hone in on this. Okay, so running out of things to say, like now I feel like anybody that's listening to this podcast probably has a pretty good understanding of what's going on here. Okay, but that's still not giving them the ammunition. It's like, okay, cool, I can recognize that there's a lot of things and I'm just not focusing on one. How do I know which one to focus on?
Right.
How do I identify that and express it? Because true, you could talk about anything, you know what I mean? Like, but if you pick the wrong, like, for instance, if we're having this conversation right now and I'm like, hey Siobhan, when are you going to get a puppy? You're gonna be like, what? Like, you're gonna be like, what do you? It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, or it's not the context of this podcast. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not calibrated. In other words, right? So to have that social calibration, if nothing else, nothing else, wherever you are, there's a gang of things to talk about. Okay. And it's going to fall within inside of the framework of you having conversation that makes sense, because you're both in the same place at the same time with the same things around you. So it's not going to seem out of place, even if you say you're talking about we'll say you're at the mall. Okay. And you're at the mall and you're talking to this girl in the middle of the mall. You got all the stores around you and things like that. And we'll say that you're talking about puppies. Okay. I mean, it has nothing to do with the mall whatsoever. You're talking about puppies. And we'll say that conversation is starting to run its course. And you're kind of like, all right, where do I go from here with this conversation? Okay. Well, you could just out of the blue, as soon as you starting to feel the conversation kind of winding down a little bit, like, oh my God, I just smelled a pretzel from the pretzel place. Have you ever had a pretzel from the pretzel place over there? Oh, you got to try it. It is so good. They are delicious. Like, and now you're talking about something else now. And even though it has nothing to do with puppies, it's still inside of the same framework of, because same place and time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another thing, conversational threads.
Yep.
So if I'm talking to somebody and all I have to do is analyze what that thing is. A quick analysis of it. So for instance, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm like, we'll just say that they're wearing a University of Michigan hoodie. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be like, oh, don't even tell me that you go to Michigan. Or are you just a Walmart Wolverine, as they call them? Yeah. People who never went there but have Michigan gear, So, or are you just a Walmart Wolverine, And she's like, oh, no, actually, I did go there. Really? Oh, I can't even talk to you anymore. But, that's interesting, though. Okay. What do I know about University of Michigan? Well, I could now shift the conversation to, okay, it's in Ann Arbor. All right. I know that much. If she went to U of M, she might be a transfer from a different, people from all over the world go to U of M. You know what I mean? Yeah. Very prestigious school. Okay. Like tons of people from, from Asia and everywhere. You know what I mean? So we talk about, she might be, from a different state or whatever. Academics, her major, things like that, which probably leads her into what she does for work now. All right. What else? Campus life, sports. There's 5 things right there that I could take that conversation into a different direction with, all associated with the University of Michigan. Right.
Yep.
So we'll say that, kind of think of it as kind of like a flow chart. You know what I mean? So University of Michigan. All right. She went to U of M. Okay, fine. She went to U of M. Now I'll bring up her major. All right. So if you went to U of M, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer. You have to be, right? Do they do anything else there? But you do kind of you seem to me to kind of have that doctor vibe to you. Am I right? No, actually, I'm a teacher. Okay. Now we're at a new bubble in the flow chart here. What do I know about teaching? Well, she has students. I have students. There's a commonality, right? She has students. Where she teaches, like what city, what does she teach? So there's 3 things. And if I keep thinking about it, I'll come up with more,
More. Yep.
So, okay, we'll take that into students, are you a high school teacher? Yeah, I am. I teach history over at Lincoln. Oh, wow, that's crazy. You definitely have that type of vibe about you that lends to teaching. And I have that too. I'm not a teacher like you're a teacher, but I definitely have students, isn't it crazy when you see a student really start to improve, and I can take the conversation that way. Right. Yeah. And so on and so forth. I can keep going on with this for days. All right. So looking for those conversational threads, everything that you talk about, it doesn't have to be exhausted to the end. And then you're like, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
You're leaving conversational loops open so you can circle back, right?
Back to that old conversation and just, carry from there.
Oh, as somebody that went to Michigan, did you ever go to any Michigan football games?
Yep.
I can always circle it right back because that conversation that loop is still open, right?
Yep.
So, shit. What was I going to say? Totally lost my train of thought there on that. Another thing too, having stories that you can always rely on. You know what I mean? I tell people always have a good 5 or 6 stories ready to go at a moment's notice.
Right.
And if those stories, if you're like, well, if we're talking about U of M and my story is about how I saved a girl from drowning on the beach in Miami, like, wouldn't it be a little bit weird when the conversation's kind of going flat to be like, I saved a girl from a shark? You
Yeah,
know what I
like,
mean? Like,
right.
yes, the answer would be yes. That would be weird. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
But here's the thing. The way I like to look, I call it breadcrumbing.
Mm.
Breadcrumbing from the original topic into this,
The next, yeah.
into your story. So like think about it. This is a natural way that these types of things happen, because like look at any conversational thread, or look at look at the comments, like on like a
Mm.
YouTube video or a Facebook post or Instagram or whatever. When it starts to get into the weeds a little bit, you will start seeing people talking about different stuff than what the original post was even about,
Right.
because something comes to mind that relates to that. So this person brings up this point by, we'll say, well, that reminds me of when Abraham Lincoln said this. And then somebody's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, yeah, but, the thing about Abraham Lincoln is that, he did this and this and this and this. That's why he said that. So it's not the same context. Yeah, well, when he did this, you got to remember that
Mm.
now they're talking about Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah, like, huh? Exactly.
So that when you start breadcrumbing to your story, how can you get from University of Michigan from the time that you saved a girl from a shark? Okay, well, you might have to get a little creative about it, but
Yep.
if actually, we'll just give me we'll say I have a story about that I saved. I stood up for this girl at the gym against this big hulking massive dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude looked like a wrestler. All right.
Mm.
And I stood up for her. A fight was about to break out, and like everything was handled. It was fine, but it's a story that I like to tell. Okay.
Yeah.
So Shabam, give me any topic, and I will get to that story.
Okay, how is your current relationship with your wife?
Okay. All right. Perfect. And the pressure's on, right? This is being
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah.
So I got to nail this. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the relationship with my wife, all right, it's crazy because yesterday, we were getting ready because we knew this snowstorm was coming, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to go out and get a few provisions because I knew we likely we're not going to be going anywhere, today, most likely. And I didn't want to have to be, like getting a bunch of snow off my car and driving in the shitty streets and all that kind of stuff just to go to the grocery store to get something stupid. You know what I mean? Like, let's just go out today, get it done and over with, and not have to worry about it tomorrow at all. And I also thought to myself, I was like, since I'm going to be snowed in probably for the next couple of days, basically, may as well pick up some liquor, so, at night, have a few shots or whatever, unwind a little bit, that kind of thing. And it was crazy because I went by myself. She was working. And so I go up to Meijer, which is our kind of think Walmart, same thing. Yeah. So I go up to Meijer and I'm in the liquor aisle and I'm like, man, what should I get? And then it hit me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get some Saint or 2 James. It's called 2 James vodka. All right. And so I get the 2 James. And the reason I haven't seen it in forever because it was, I remember having shots with this girl that's what we were having. And I really liked it then. And I haven't thought about this in a while. That particular girl, it was a girl that I met at the gym. Because it was one time I go to the gym, right? And there's this big, huge guy, and he's like screaming at her and stuff. And I end up standing up for her, and the guy kind of backs down a little bit and gets kicked out and all this and that. And she was so thankful. So she invited me over for shots, and that's what we had. Boom.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
so and that seemed completely
normal. Like that just felt like a normal conversation. It doesn't feel like out of place in any way.
Right. In my mind, I'm thinking, how can I get from that to that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what did I do yesterday? What did I do yesterday with my wife? You know, and or what you know, what were we talking about or whatever, and then figure out a way to relate that to the story. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's what I mean. And I remember what I was going to say earlier too. So I'm going to circle back a little bit here. Rewind a little bit.
It's actually funny you did it that perfectly. That's literally proper rewind.
So here's the deal. Don't let your conversations run flat. That's the first thing. When you start picking up on the conversational threads, just start going with it. You don't have to finish a topic from beginning to end, because it's one of those things of what, you know, like you don't want to overstay your welcome, so to speak, right? You want to leave them wanting more. And the more open loops that you have going on inside of this conversation, one, that's completely natural. When you're having a conversation with your friends, are you like, all right, we're going to call to order the meeting of Shabam's friends. All right. Like, okay, the first issue that we're going to address is video games. You know, and then you talk about video games till you're done talking about it. Okay, the next issue up is we're going to talk about soccer. Or, you know what I mean? Like, nobody talks like that. It's just a bunch of open-ended loops that you end up kind of circling back to. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? But that's how natural conversation flows. So, like, think of it like this. You know, like I was saying, like, say I'm at the mall, I'm talking to this girl about puppies. Okay? And if I just stay on that topic and don't variate from it, it's going to get boring. It's going to get stale, right? And I don't want her feeling like, oh, this is getting boring. I got to make an excuse to dip up out of here, you know? So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to start bringing in other things on that conversational thread. But this is what a lot of people do, and particularly guys that are talking to an attractive girl. They're like, oh, this girl's interested in this topic. Let's talk about this for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're talking about puppies. What kind of puppy would you want to get if you could get a puppy? Oh, I'd get a Yorkie poo. And oh, those are adorable. Super cute dogs. How do you even groom a Yorkie poo? Oh, I would take it to the dog groomer. Okay, well, what do you feed a Yorkie poo? I would feed him dry food and wet food. Oh, wow, that's interesting. What kind of toys do you get for a Yorkie poo? Squeaky toys. What do Yorkie poos do for tricks? You see where it's like?
It's already running bland. Yep,
right.
Exactly.
You know, so instead of that, you know, getting to that point, shift the conversation, right?
Yep.
Oh, Yorkie poos are adorable. You know what? My friend, his girlfriend got a Yorkie poo. And anytime I go over there, that dog is so excited to see me. And it's like, animals are so intuitive. It's like they just know who is good people. You know, that one's wrong because I'm a terrible person. But in the general sense, you know, so that's what I'm getting at, is that you don't want to let the conversation run flat. Have those conversational loops open. And now you always have, you know, a bunch of different ways to maneuver through that conversation. Have some stories. Have something right in the holster, ready to go when you are going to start a conversation. I like people's opinion on things. People love talking about themselves and what they think. You know, there's a reason why the man on the street interview has been a thing since forever. You know,
it's like, it's a big thing.
Yeah. People love sharing their take on stuff, even if they don't know shit about it. You know,
exactly.
They'll just talk about it. And now we're talking. And once we're talking, now I can look for conversational threads.
Yeah.
I don't really care if they know what they're talking about whatever, it is I'm going to ask them, don't matter to
Yeah.
me, really, you know.
Yeah.
All I really want to do is just start the conversation and then we'll just go from there with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and here's the thing too, from a mindset point of view, you don't want to let these, if a conversation doesn't go your way or, you get rejected or, she's just not into it or whatever, that goes back to the competence. All right.
Yeah.
Don't let it affect your confidence in that,
Yeah.
like, oh, well, if I was better looking or if I was, if I was
Had a
taller,
better body,
shorter,
like, six packs or some shit
yeah,
like
if
that.
I was, if I was whiter,
Jacked.
blacker, if
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
like, that's a lazy man's excuse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's intellectually lazy,
Mm-hmm.
is to chalk it up to something like that. No, just get more competent. That's it.
Yeah. No.
The more competent you are, the more tools that you have accessible to you.
Right.
I think we're good. We good?
We just, yep.
Okay, cool. All right. So listen, guys, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, make sure you do so because I want to make sure that you guys get in a in the easiest way possible, these podcasts. All right. A lot of you guys just happen to find it because I'll post it on social media and things like that. And, I want you to be aware when we drop new episodes, usually every week, you know what I mean? So, but, making sure that, you hit the notification bell. I mean, you guys know the routine. You hear it on every single fucking YouTube channel on planet Earth. And there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? The YouTube algorithm is like, there's no accounting for it. It's its own beast, and I want to not let that affect the people that really could use this information and put it to work. If you're watching this podcast, what it tells me is that you likely have a growth mindset. If you have a growth mindset, what does that mean? That means you want to continue to grow. If you want to continue to grow, you have to feed new information, right? And that's what we're giving you here. So do yourself a favor, just be cognizant of hitting the notification bell. And you know what? And here's the thing too. If there's a topic that you want us to cover, I'm easy to find. If you join the Facebook group, which I'll have linked up, if you join the Facebook group, look, send me a DM. That's it. Simple enough. Or drop a comment for the video or for the podcast. I got you. You know what I mean? Like I'm more than happy to, this isn't a platform to hear us just talk to each other. We do that on Tuesdays without recording it. So, we don't need an extra platform to do that on. This is for you. Yeah. And so I want to give you what you guys want, but you got to let me know what that is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just kind of guessing at that point. So that's what's up. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Peace.